So, I just want to start off by saying if you hear any noise in the background, that's my son playing out in the living room and bouncing on the couch and being noisy like he do, so. Yeah, I'm pretty tired. I didn't get to bed till when the sun, actually I didn't even really get to bed at all. It was about 5:30, the sun was about coming out, and then my son got up. So I've been trying to just lay down and rest. My head is hurting for certain. So I'm just kind of low energy today. I just did some readings and stuff, and that took a lot out of me. So and that was lack of sleep last night. So I just want to talk a little bit about, or a lot of it about. We'll see how much I expand on these. I got 3-4 things written down that I want to talk about as far as this gang stalking and being a targeted individual. The noise campaigning. It's funny the nomenclature that goes along with this. Being a TI. And now looking back, there was certain things that definitely caught my attention because I'm a very in tune person, very aware of people's energies and all that. Just the clairsentience that I have, and being a Capricorn and being an Earth sign, and I believe I've been targeted all my lifetimes, actually. Once they found out who I was and where I was. And a dream I had 2 or 3 nights ago, I mentioned on one of my readings that I'm going to be talking about that. I'll do that in a separate video, but I'll relate it back to this, the TI situation. Being a highly spiritual person, eventually when I regain my awareness of my past lives and who I am and in this lifetime and everything, and you start vibrating at that frequency that they can recognize. And so just a couple little things. I think this was like during the summer maybe, and I probably noticed it more times than this one time, but I probably just brushed it off. But like when you go get in line at the grocery store, there's like no one in line until you're ready to go get in line, and then there's like a bunch of people in every line with tons of stuff in their cart or something. But you're just like, whatever, that's just life. It's just law of attraction, or whatever. Just everyone's always ready to go at the same time. Kind of like the lunch rush or whatever. When you work at a business, there's just a certain flux of a certain amount of people at certain times. But I remember going to the post office once, and I don't know if I like texted somebody, hey, I'm going to the post office, do you need anything? Like, you check in with your neighbor or this or that or whatever. I can't remember if I did that, but I remember as soon as I turned the corner to start walking in, and I remember it kind of startled me to the point where I'm like, wow, I'm going to make sure I'm walking on the sidewalk, because it's just a small little town. But so you just, once you approach the post office, there's like a little walkway that kind of goes in a U around the parking lot, but then you can it's just like a 1-row parking lot. It's very small, so you just walk right across it to the entrance, just kind of beeline straight from the corner of the sidewalk. once you are in front of the post office there. Once you come around the corner, there it is right there. So you just kind of kitty corner it, kind of just cut across the parking lot. But I remembered all the cars started pulling out all at the same time, and like every car space was taken up. And there's only like, granted, there's only maybe like, I'd say maybe 8, just a single row, 8 parking spaces, and they're all taken up. And as soon as I turned the corner and had the post office in my line of sight and was about ready to cut through the parking lot, every single car and the whole parking lot was taken up. Granted, there's only, 8 spaces or whatever there is, but they all started pulling out at the same exact time. And I always have my son with me, in the stroller and stuff, so I remember thinking to myself, oh, make sure you just stick to the sidewalk and go around the parking lot next time, because, people aren't paying attention, they're backing up. But this, and they don't look, and people are in a hurry to go, rush here, rush there, they're got their blinders on, and they're just doing their own thing and not really paying attention to anybody else, and they think they're in this world alone. But, I remember I was like, oh, okay, I gotta be careful and make sure I just stick to the parking lot, even if I was by myself, because, all these people backing out, and all at the same time. I mean, it seemed like it was a ballet choreographed, because I was just like, what are the odds of that? But I remember it stuck out so much in my mind, so much so that I was like, I'm never going to cut through the parking lot again. Even as small of a little post office as it is. So, because it started getting more and more obvious, especially when, there's like a liquor store across the street, but like down one parking lot, so they have a view of my house and stuff, and they got, all the riffraff going there to get their cigarettes, whatever. I just mean like the homeless people. There's a lot of people like on meth all over the United States, and this was a video I did talking about how Archangel Michael gave me a nudge to go check the mail again one day, and different things like this that were adding up, over, several months. And the family that owns a liquor store across the street actually told my neighbor upstairs that they were using this house as a drug swap, like underneath my stairs, because I don't have a gate. It's kind of like right off the sidewalk, so not too far back, because it's like right downtown. It's just, one of those houses that aren't too far off the street, just like a yard, a couple yards off the sidewalk, and bam, there's my stairs right there. And those Victorian houses are kind of built up on a second story, even though it's the first floor. There's like enough space underneath the house to create a whole other story, and a lot of people have done that with their homes. But so they have these big tall staircases that lead up to the front door. So I noticed a piece of lattice on the back, oddly. Like one time it looked like, okay, it could have been blown down, but another time it was like leaning up against the side of the house, which is like at a 45-degree angle from where it actually is placed. Because a lot of people use that lattice to cover up the under part of the stairs. And so I thought that was odd. And then, the people across the street telling my neighbor, because the attic upstairs is converted into a studio apartment, and he went over there to get a snack or whatever, and he told me that the guy that was at the liquor store told him that he saw people doing that, and that the dude was a well-known drug addict, like well-known drug dealer in this area. So I'm gonna have to ask him if it was like because there's the family that runs the place, but then there's also this older like white dude who seemed like he probably would do meth. I'm gonna have to ask him who actually told him that, because that might lead to another connection right there. But if it was just the family, they're really cool, Cambodian family, and they're nice, and I know the two boys that work there. Um, they're good dudes, so, and good, clean cut. They're not. So I'm gonna have to ask him to see who actually told him that. Um, and so that time where I was nudged to go check the mail again by Archangel Michael, and I'm like, but I already just checked the mail, and he said, go check it again. So as soon as I open my door and first step on my porch, Riff Raff pulling his, I got a little outlet, a couple different outlets underneath my staircase right there, but it's attached to my house. You gotta be pretty damn brazen to step on my property and use my outlet to charge up whatever he was charging up, his phone or whatnot. So I caught him red-handed. He was just walking up to pull it out right as I was stepping out the door. So so this is why I get targeted, because they know how connected I am to the spirit realm and the angels and the benevolent forces of the earth and God. Akata, that's the ancient Lemurian word for God, and it means architect. But so that time, and I had a little exchange of words, and he's like, oh, I can give you a couple bucks or this, that. I'm like, no, that's very rude. I'm over here, can't work and shit. I gotta be on like aid and all that. I don't get child support, nothing. I gotta go to a food bank. How dare you? I didn't curse or anything. I didn't yell or even say shit or anything like that. And I think I told him, make sure to tell all your friends too. Don't come on my property. How dare you? How dare you? And why my house? Like, you can go to the park and charge up stuff. You can, there's different if you want to use my house as a drug swap, it's like, you can go behind there's a park, a whole baseball field, everything back behind my house. Just a block right behind my house. I can see it from my back porch. It's just like, and the house where it's coming from is like across the street from a huge parking lot where there's the bowling alley and all. There's all kinds of places. Like, why my house? I just thought that's odd, and they gotta walk all the way down here, and it's like, huh? That doesn't even make any sense. To me, anyway, but it does now that I know what's going on. And then another time, okay, Archangel Michael again. I was too tired to take out the garbage the night before, because they come early, usually to pick up the recycling. They come like first thing in the morning, like 5. The earliest they can come is like 5 in the morning, so I always like to take it out the night before. But I was tired, and I'm like, I'll just set my alarm for 4:45, because that'll give me, doesn't take too much time to just step out my door. Even I'll just, be in my pajamas, just step out the door, roll the cans out there. Doesn't take more than 5 minutes. But something said, do it for 4:44. Well, Archangel Michael's said, why don't you just set it for 4:44, because that's the number of the angels. So I did that. As soon as the alarm went off, I just popped up out of bed, opened my door to go take the trash can out. As soon as I got down there, as soon as I opened the door, I see this car swerve over, and they're driving pretty fast, so I kind of got startled by that, and so did this dude. But then I realized they're tossing a paper in my neighbor's yard, so it was the paper boy, And there's no traffic at that time, so they just swerved to the wrong side of the street, the opposite side of the street, and tossed the papers. But I don't know why they would be going that way and then have to swerve to the wrong side of the street. Why didn't they just come down? I don't know. It's like the only, like, on this street, me and one of my neighbors is the only one that all the other houses are like turned into businesses, because it's kind of like right on a hub where there's like businesses across the street, but then upstairs there's a couple apartments, and then there's like the liquor store and restaurants and all this stuff. So there's houses on the backside, but on the main street here, it's just me and my next door neighbor who was getting her paper um, delivered. So as soon as I opened the door, bam, that happened, and I kind of went, whoa, like this person swerved. They're driving pretty fast, and they swerved to the wrong side of the street. But then I saw them throw paper in her yard right away, so I was like, oh, okay, okay. But it startled this dude that was coming down the street. Right at that exact moment, all of these things converged, and he's walking down. So he's about almost right in front of my neighbor's house where the paper just got thrown, so that kind of startled him, right? Because it was like, you know, a couple more strides and he would have been hit by that paper, and it looked like the car was like trying to like come at him or something, so he kind of, that startled him. Okay, so then he sees me, and I'm coming down my stairs and bring my garbage out and stuff. He turns around and starts walking back the way he came. Okay, he's coming down the street, walking. Okay, he turns around and goes back up the way he came. And then he crosses the street as he gets down a little bit further, and he keeps looking back at me, and I'm looking back at him. I'm taking my garbage out, and I'm just standing there staring at him. Just mad dogging. Not mad dogging, but just like that death stare, you know what I mean? Death star stare. And so that was the two incidences with the, you know, these people, and then the neighbor, or the people that, the family that runs the liquor store. Like I said, I'm gonna have to ask my neighbor and see exactly if it was one of the Cambodian family that owns and runs the place, or because they have this one white, like older kind of, you can tell, you know, hard living, likes to drink, smoke. I mean, he's nice. He's always been nice to me whenever I go in there, but how do they know he's a well-known drug dealer, like the person they saw, if they even saw it, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying, like, how would the people at the liquor store know he's a well-known drug addict? So it had to have been that white dude, but I'm going to ask my neighbor and see for sure, because I have a feeling that's who it was who said that, because how would they know he's a well-known drug dealer, right? Unless they're, like, getting some shit from him. And maybe that's why he works at that liquor store. So, you know, who knows? You know, I'm suspicious of everyone now. I don't trust. I don't trust anybody. Not that I ever really did, but so it's hard to be discerning. It's hard to know who's who and what's what. And you know, people are being nice to you. You're suspicious of that. So this one, okay, so there was a couple black cars in the neighborhood. This one kind of beat up, like, black BMW with a hella loud muffler, okay? And, like, some tweaker chick always driving it. And I've seen it around, too. But that kind of, like, I haven't been hearing that one, but then I started hearing this new one. And I remember making a comment to my neighbor upstairs, because there was, like, some bitch across the street at the liquor store out in the front there talking hella loud. And I'm just like, I have chronic fatigue and shit. Like, I don't have patience for people who are just being stupid and loud and obnoxious. And it's like, yeah, there's a liquor store there, but there's also residences in this neighborhood, so fucking have some respect. Sorry for cursing, but, like, it's bringing back up that emotion. And, so I mentioned it to my neighbor upstairs, and he goes, I said, yeah, it's a nice neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. Except for people like, I can't remember exactly what I was telling him, or maybe I was texting him, because we split the bills and stuff like that. So maybe it was like, oh yeah, the bills are coming up due. Here's your share, blah, blah, you know, blah blah blah. And I mentioned loud talker, and you know, that chick across the street up in front of the liquor store just talking hella loud, like a high schooler, just being obnoxious. And I'm just thinking, like, dude, how old are you? Like, be quiet. Can't you just talk at a normal volume? And he goes, yeah, that person with the such and such card, this and that or whatever. And I hadn't seen the car yet at that point, but I had heard it plenty. And a couple times that I had observed him And granted, there's a liquor store, so, you know, if you need to park in a parking lot that's just kind of like open to the public, if you're going to the liquor store, you just park over there, because there's always spaces. But the thing is, he never got out of his car, so I know he didn't have any association with the, there's a couple apartments above the businesses across the street. He never went up there, never, you know, I'd see him pull into the parking lot, just park for a little while, mess with his phone, and then leave. He never got out of his car, period. And if he was going to go to the liquor store, he could just park over there. But he never got out of his car, period. He never opened the door, nothing. He just always just was in his car, and he'd pull over there, talk on his phone, or like, you know, mess with his phone, and then leave. Never get out of his car, never. And one night, I was ranting and raving because I heard this motherfucker go up and down the street like half a dozen times. And I started ranting and raving to the point where, so there were some cops called across the street, and they said, those apartments that are above the buildings, above the businesses, and they said that there's some hoodlums over there back behind their building over there. But it could have been connected, okay, to the neighbor that now like always has their blinds open, and there's like French doors that has blinds, and on one side of the door they keep it cracked, you know, the blinds pulled up just like 6 inches. Okay, always, and they never used to have their blinds open ever. Now it's like one window all the way open blinds, and then that little piece of the door blinds just open on one side about 6 inches, always. When it never used to be like that before, and I can't remember if it's new neighbors or not. But this black car, so that night when supposedly the neighbor across the street, you know, called the cops because there was some riffraff back, you know, back behind there, suspicious looking character. So I'm like screaming and yelling, like I'm in my living room, so I'm in the front of the house, and I guess they could hear me across the street. Or maybe it was just all a setup to try to get me to be all pissed off and then like have the cops observe me or something, you know. I don't even know if he had anything to do with it or whatever. I'm just saying how it all went down was strange. Okay, that car up and down this, you know, back and forth like 6 times that day, and then the neighbors across the street had just so happened to have called the police that day, and it was right when I was like ranting and raving about the noise of that car, and to myself in my house with the doors and windows closed and everything, but I was being loud because it was just irritating me. And so I see this flashlight shining in my window, and granted I got a gate now because I don't like random people, Jehovah's Witnesses, blah blah blah, knocking on my door disturbing me. And so the cop couldn't like actually get onto my porch. He'd get to the top of the stairs, but then no one could figure out, it's like a baby gate kind of like a thing. So, but I knew it was a cop's flashlight. Okay, and I had seen the cops park at the liquor store and then go back over there to the apartment across the street to go talk to those people or whatever. But there was like a group up on their balcony like looking over towards me. Okay, and I was just like, and they all were, you know, it's cold, whatever, they were wearing like, looked like black pea coats and stuff, like, I'm like, huh, okay. So that was just all suspicious, you know, and I told the dude, I'm like, no, I'm just tired of the people in this neighborhood, meth dealers and stuff, and that dude with this loud ass black car going up and down, up and down, up and down the street. And I said, but we're not worried, you know. And I told him how my sister died of an overdose from that stuff, and I don't like that shit. And I said, ooh, you know, because I didn't want to like be disrespectful to the officer. I like covered my mouth when I said shit. I was like, oops, sorry, yeah. And he was like, oh, I'm just making sure you're okay, just checking to make sure you're okay. And so I said, yeah, we're okay. We got Archangel Michael up in here. So, let's see, I got like 5.5 minutes left on this. So, that black car, one day I'm taking out the garbage, okay? And he's in the parking lot across the street. And I think I might have went out because I heard that car, because I know the sound of that muffler now. I've heard it enough to where I know that that's that car. And so I think I went to just go take out the trash. I don't even know if I had a full bag of trash, but just to go death stare this dude. And so I'm just at my garbage can on the sidewalk and staring at him right in. So he's pulling out, and I'm just staring at him right in his eyes. I just dead stop, dead stare, no movement, no blink in my eyes, nothing. Just staring him right in his eyes. And he's got like a black hoodie sweatshirt on, and he looks at me and does this little smirk, and then takes off, you know, revving his engine, and then like speeds up, taking off down the street. And I haven't seen him since. So I think, like, me looking at him like that, he knew that I knew that he knows who I am, or what, you know what I mean? So I haven't heard that car since, and I haven't seen it since. And it was ever since I death stared that dude. I think maybe I made him a little nervous, and he hasn't been back. I haven't even heard that car in this neighborhood, period. And my dad's like, you should have taken down the license plate, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, you know, no, I don't really need to have any kind of karma like that, because he hasn't come back. But if he does, then I will take down his license plate. I'll, you know, go to the cops and say, this dude's stalking me. He's always coming across into the parking lot across the way there, never gets out of his car, gives me little like smirks and stuff. So I mean, it was just that one time, but so yeah, he hasn't been back, so I don't need to worry about it. And if I do hear that car again, I will just straight up go out there with my camera, take a picture, write down the license plate number and everything, just in case something happens with my phone and the pictures get deleted. Because yesterday, it might have been this morning or yesterday morning, I just get done uploading a picture, uploading a video onto my channel, a reading or something I just did, and I go in there to turn my computer off and everything, and my son's in his room, okay, there's a deadbolt on the door and everything, because he's autistic or whatever, special needs, and so, but when we moved in, the deadbolt was already on there, so it automatically locks, so there's a key, because it used to be like different offices. This house was like divided up into offices and stuff, so one had like a deadbolt, so it was just still on there. So I lost my train. Oh yeah, so the screensaver on my computer was changed, and that has never happened ever. So as soon as I start talking about like this TI stuff and gang stalking and stuff, my screensaver gets changed, and doesn't default back to nothing. That's never I've had this computer since 2008. It's a mini Mac, you know, the tower. It's called a mini Mac. It's a Macintosh, but I've had it since like 2008. Never once. Okay, I've had the same screensaver for, you know, whenever I change it, it just stays that same one, and it totally changed to a different one, like one that comes on the computer in the like gallery there for your wallpaper screensaver. So okay, I mean, that's odd. No, it's not a coincidence. They deliberately did that to send a message. And they did that when they popped up 11:11 on my phone, because it wasn't where the time was. It wasn't the time or nothing. It flashed in a little box that was smaller down below. I mentioned that in another video on my channel. See, but I was thinking this was like twin flame synchronicity stuff. I don't know what to believe now. So I only have about 45 seconds left, so I think I pretty much... Oh, someone revving their car right before the tow truck came, and they're revving it so much until I like looked out the door, opened my door, and then they stopped. But it was like they were revving it, and then the tow truck pulled up. It's like, why were you revving it if you already called the tow truck to come get It was just odd. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that really quick. Yeah, be safe out there, kids. Love and blessings and peace be upon you all.